Have you ever wondered why, despite all your efforts to manifest the life you desire, reality seems stubbornly resistant to change? You've visualized, affirmed, created vision boards, practiced gratitude, all those techniques that promised transformation. Yet something essential remains missing, something so fundamental that without it, all other practices become hollow rituals that exhaust rather than empower you. What if I told you there's only one quantum law you truly need to understand? A principle so simple yet profound that once you embody it, reality has no choice but to reshape itself around you. Most spiritual teachings focus on what you need to add to your life. More meditation, more affirmations, more techniques. But true transformation doesn't come from addition. It comes from shifting the very foundation of how you interact with the quantum field. Today, I want to share with you the forgotten secret that quantum physics has been trying to tell us for almost a century, a truth that spiritual masters have known for millennia, but that somehow got lost in translation. The observer effect is not just a curious phenomenon in laboratories. It is the fundamental principle governing how your personal reality forms around you. In the famous double-slit experiment, scientists discovered something that should have transformed how we understand reality. When observed, electrons behave like particles with defined positions. When not observed, they exist as waves of possibility. This isn't just about tiny particles in a lab. This is about the very nature of reality itself, including your reality, your life, your experience. What you perceive as solid fixed circumstances is actually a temporary collapse of infinite possibilities. And what determines which possibilities collapse into your experience? Not your wishes, not your vision board, not even your conscious intentions. It's the quality of your observation, the emotional frequency you embody as you interact with the world. Take a moment and breathe into that. Everything you're experiencing right now, every challenge, every blessing, every circumstance is not happening to you. It's responding to you, not to what you want, but to what you are. This isn't metaphorical. This is the direct implication of quantum physics that most manifestation teachings have failed to fully integrate. Your reality doesn't respond to your wishful thinking. It responds to the electromagnetic signature of your entire being as you observe it into existence. You've been taught that what you see is what is real, but quantum physics tells us the opposite truth. What is real is what you see and how you see it. The observer isn't just witnessing reality. The observer is creating it. And you, in every moment of your life, are that observer, collapsing infinite waves of potential into the particular experience you call your life. The question isn't whether this is happening. The question is, are you doing it consciously or unconsciously? What no one tells you about manifestation is that your reality doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to what you observe with emotion. This is why visualization practices often fail. People focus on images in their mind while their bodies vibrate with doubt, fear, or unworthiness. The quantum field doesn't read your thoughts. It reads your coherent electromagnetic signature, the unified broadcast of your thoughts, emotions, beliefs, and expectations. When these are in alignment, reality responds with startling precision. When they're in conflict, the field reflects that conflict back to you as mixed results or stagnation. Most people approach manifestation like placing an order at a cosmic restaurant. They clearly state what they want, perhaps visualize it, maybe even feel temporary excitement about it. But then they return to their habitual state of being, their default emotional frequency, their usual patterns of thought, their familiar perspectives. And they wonder why the universe hasn't delivered their order. But the universe isn't a restaurant. It's a mirror reflecting back your dominant state of being. It doesn't respond to your request. It responds to your broadcast. And you're broadcasting every moment of every day, whether you're conscious of it or not. The effect of the observer shows that what you feel as you observe shapes what manifests. This isn't just about positive thinking. It's about emotional coherence, the alignment between what you consciously desire and what you unconsciously expect. When you look at your current financial situation, do you observe it with worry, generating more situations that validate that worry? When you consider your relationships, do you observe them through the lens of past disappointments, unconsciously creating more experiences that confirm those expectations? Your observation isn't passive, it's creative, and the emotional quality of that observation determines which potential realities collapse into your experience. Think about the last time you were in a deeply peaceful state. perhaps during meditation, in nature, or in a moment of profound connection. In that state, did you notice how differently the world appeared? How solutions to problems seemed to arise naturally? How synchronicities began to unfold? That wasn't coincidence. That was the observer effect in action. Your shifted state of being literally allowed different potentials to collapse into your experience. You didn't change the external world. You changed the observer, and the observed responded accordingly. This understanding transforms how we approach challenges. When facing difficulty, most people immediately try to change the external circumstance. They push against what is, struggle with it, fight it, all while maintaining the same observational frequency that helped create it. But what if instead of trying to change what you're observing, you changed how you're observing? What if you shifted your internal state first and allowed that shift to collapse a different version of the challenge into your experience? This isn't about ignoring problems or pretending they don't exist. It's about approaching them from a different vibrational vantage point, one that allows solutions and possibilities invisible to your previous state. This is why two people can face identical circumstances yet have completely different experiences and outcomes. It's not just about interpretation or attitude. It's about which version of reality they're collapsing through the quality of their observation. One person observes a challenge through the lens of fear and collapses a reality where threats multiply. Another observes the same challenge through the lens of trust and collapses a reality where solutions appear. Same external circumstance, entirely different quantum outcome, because the observer determines which possibilities become real. The only quantum law that truly governs all others is this: you collapse the field with your state of being, not with your wishes, not with your vision board, not even with your actions, though these play their part. Your state of being, the vibrational signature you emit through the coherence of your thoughts, emotions, beliefs, and expectations, this is what communicates with the quantum field. This is what collapses waves of potential into particles of experience. This is what determines which version of infinite possible realities becomes your lived experience. No genuine manifestation can occur without a change in frequency. If you want a new reality but continue vibrating at your current frequency, you're asking the impossible. It would be like trying to tune your radio to 96.7 FM while keeping the dial set to 103.5. The station you want is broadcasting, but you're not tuned to receive it. Your vibrational frequency, your state of being, is the dial that determines which broadcast you receive from the infinite potential of the quantum field. The field responds to your vibrational signature in the now, not to your request. This is why affirmations often fail to create change. You can repeat "I am abundant" 1,000 times, but if your energetic identity, the frequency your whole being broadcasts, remains tuned to scarcity, the field faithfully reflects that frequency back to you. The quantum field doesn't respond to what you say you want. It responds to who you are being. Dr. Bruce Lipton's research in epigenetics shows us that our cells literally respond not to our DNA programming, but to the signals from our environment and our perception of that environment. This means your body, at the cellular level, is responding not to some fixed genetic destiny but to your perception, your observation, your interpretation of reality. Change the perception, and you literally change the biochemical processes in your body. This isn't metaphorical, it's biological. Your observation isn't just creating your external reality, it's creating your internal reality as well. Your health, your energy levels, your biological responses. Your energetic identity collapses possibilities into reality. This identity isn't just your thoughts or even your conscious beliefs. It's the sum total of your conscious and unconscious patterns, the habitual ways you perceive, interpret, and respond to life. It's your expectations, assumptions, and deepest convictions about what's possible for you and how the world works. This energetic signature is the lens through which you observe reality, and it determines which version of reality collapses into your experience. Imagine your energetic identity as a unique frequency, like a specific radio station broadcasting into the quantum field. This broadcast isn't something you do occasionally during meditation or visualization. It's something you're doing constantly with every thought, every emotion, every belief, every expectation. Most people broadcast on the same frequency day after day, year after year, and then wonder why their reality doesn't change. They're tuned to the struggle and limitation station and expecting to hear the abundance and flow broadcast. It doesn't work that way. You have to change the station, change your energetic identity, to receive a different reality. This is the essence of all quantum law. Whether you call it the law of attraction, the law of assumption, or any other name, they all point to this fundamental principle. Consciousness creates reality through observation, and the quality of that observation determines which potential reality becomes manifest. The field isn't granting wishes. It's responding with perfect precision to the frequency you're broadcasting through your state of being. The silent error most people make is wanting to change their reality without changing the angle of their observer. This is like trying to see a different reflection in the mirror while standing in exactly the same place. It's a fundamental misunderstanding of how reality forms. If you observe the world through the same lens of fear, limitation, and doubt, you will keep collapsing the same patterns into your experience, not because the universe is punishing you, but because it's responding with perfect fidelity to your broadcast. Think about something you've been trying to change in your life, perhaps a financial situation, a relationship pattern, or a health condition. Now ask yourself, when you observe this situation, what's the emotional frequency of your observation? Is it frustration, worry, hopelessness, impatience? Whatever that frequency is, it's not just your reaction to the situation. It's actively participating in maintaining it. This doesn't mean you're to blame for your challenges. It means you have more power to transform them than you've realized. Not by fighting against what is, but by shifting the observer that's collapsing it into existence. You repeat the same life when you insist on observing the world with the same fears, beliefs, and perceptions. Your perspective isn't just recording reality, it's creating it. Your observation isn't passive. It's the active force that collapses waves of possibility into the particles of your experience. Without changing the observer, without shifting the perspective from which you're viewing life, the observed remains the same. This isn't punishment or failure. It's physics. The secret lies in repositioning internally the point from which you vibrate. This doesn't mean denying what is or pretending things are different than they appear. It means shifting the quality of consciousness with which you meet what is. It means observing from a different place within yourself, from trust rather than fear, from worthiness rather than inadequacy, from possibility rather than limitation. This shift isn't about what you see, it's about who you are being as you see it. This repositioning isn't something you do once and it's done. It's a practice, a continuous choice to observe from a different vantage point. It's like building a muscle. The more you practice observing from an aligned state, the more natural it becomes, until it's your new default. This doesn't mean you'll never experience fear or doubt again. It means you become increasingly skilled at recognizing when you've slipped into an old observational pattern and choosing to shift back to an aligned state. Think of how different the world appears when you're in love versus when you're depressed. Same world, entirely different experience. That's not just interpretation. That's the observer effect in action. Your state of being is collapsing different potential realities based on the frequency you're broadcasting. When you shift your state of being, you literally tune into a different broadcast of reality, not because reality changes to match your mood, but because your frequency determines which version of infinite possible realities you experience. Consider a time when your perception of a situation suddenly shifted. Perhaps you were struggling with a problem, feeling stuck and frustrated. Then something changed in your emotional state. Maybe you took a walk in nature, had a heartfelt conversation with a friend, or simply got some rest, and suddenly, without the external situation changing at all, you saw it differently. Solutions appeared that were invisible before. The problem itself seemed less significant or even transformed into an opportunity. That's the observer effect at work. You didn't change the situation. You changed the observer, and a different version of reality collapsed into your experience. The technique for consciously collapsing the field begins with bringing awareness to what you're expecting to see. Most people move through life on autopilot, unconsciously looking for evidence that confirms what they already believe. They're not seeing what is. They're seeing what they're tuned to notice. The first step in consciously using the observer effect is becoming aware of your unconscious expectations. What are you looking for? What do you expect to find? What feels familiar, even if it's painful? This awareness interrupts the automatic pattern and creates space for something new. Try this practice. Take a situation in your life that you've been trying to change. Close your eyes and notice what you've been expecting to happen with this situation. Not what you want to happen. What you've been expecting, perhaps even dreading. Feel how this expectation lives in your body. Where do you feel tension or contraction? This expectation isn't just a thought. It's a vibrational pattern that's actively participating in what manifests. Simply bringing consciousness to this pattern begins to disrupt it. Now imagine releasing this expectation, not by forcing it away, but by gently letting it go, like releasing your grip on something you've been holding tightly. Feel the spaciousness that opens when you're not locked into a particular expectation. Next, feel what you're vibrating as you observe your current reality. What emotions are present in your body? Where do you feel contraction or expansion? What's the quality of your energy as you look at your life? This isn't about judging your emotions as good or bad. It's about becoming conscious of the frequency you're broadcasting as you observe. This frequency is collapsing potential into your experience, whether you're aware of it or not. Bringing consciousness to it is the first step in reclaiming your creative power. The body doesn't lie. While your mind can convince itself of many things, your body always reveals your true vibrational state. Do you feel open or constricted? Energized or depleted? Peaceful or agitated? These physical sensations are the tangible manifestation of your frequency. They're not just reactions to your reality. They're actively creating it. When you bring consciousness to these sensations without judgment, you create the possibility of shifting them, not by forcing yourself to feel differently, but by gently allowing a different state to emerge. Then, redirect your observation. Imagine the scenario you desire, but don't just visualize it mentally. Embody it emotionally. Feel in your body what it would be like to already be living that reality. What would your posture be like? How would you breathe? What emotions would flow through you naturally? Sustain this state as if your desired reality has already collapsed into form. The quantum field responds not to your desire, but to the coherence between your emotion and focus. When these align, when what you visualize and what you feel are in harmony, you broadcast a clear signal that the field can reflect back to you with precision. This redirection isn't about pretending or forcing. It's about recognizing that infinite versions of reality exist simultaneously as potential, and your state of being determines which version collapses into your experience. You're not creating something from nothing. You're tuning into a frequency where what you desire already exists as potential. This isn't magical thinking. It's quantum physics. The wave of potential already exists. Your observation, infused with aligned emotion, collapses it into particle, into experience. For example, if you desire financial abundance, don't just visualize money or repeat affirmations about wealth. Instead, feel what it would be like to move through your day with a deep sense of security and ease around money. How would you breathe? How would your shoulders rest? What would the quality of your attention be like when not constricted by financial worry? Embody this state not as a future possibility but as a current reality. The quantum field doesn't distinguish between what's real and what's vividly imagined with emotional coherence. Both collapse potential in the same way. This isn't about forcing yourself to feel positive when you don't. It's about recognizing that your emotional state is a choice point for which version of reality you're tuning into. You can't control all circumstances, but you absolutely can control the quality of consciousness with which you meet those circumstances. And that quality of consciousness, that observer effect, determines which potential futures collapse into your experience. When challenging emotions arise, as they inevitably will, don't resist them or judge yourself for having them. Instead, meet them with compassionate awareness. Feel them fully, recognizing that they're passing waves of energy, not your fundamental identity. As you allow them to move through you without resistance, they naturally begin to shift. This isn't about suppressing negative emotions. It's about not becoming identified with them, not allowing them to become your dominant frequency. You can acknowledge fear without becoming fear. You can notice worry without collapsing a reality created by worry. Practice this technique daily, especially upon waking and before sleep, when your brain waves are naturally in a more receptive state. Don't treat it as a manifestation technique to get something. Approach it as a recalibration of your observer, a conscious shift in how you're collapsing reality. The consistency of this practice matters more than its duration. A few minutes of genuinely embodied shifting creates more transformation than hours of mental visualization without emotional coherence. Start with small, believable shifts rather than trying to quantum leap to a completely different reality all at once. If you're struggling financially, for instance, don't try to embody being a billionaire if that feels completely unbelievable to your system. Instead, embody the feeling of having just a bit more ease around money, of bills being paid on time, of small unexpected gifts arriving. As you consistently collapse these smaller shifts into your experience, your capacity to embody larger shifts naturally expands. The universe is not a static reality you're trying to influence. It's a living quantum canvas of possibilities, and your emotion is the brush that defines what takes form. Every feeling you embody is a stroke on this canvas, collapsing potential into experience. When you feel anxious about money, you're not just experiencing anxiety, you're painting lack onto your canvas. When you feel profound gratitude for what you have, you're not just experiencing gratitude, you're painting abundance into manifestation. Your emotions aren't just reactions to reality, they're the creative force shaping which reality you experience. This living canvas doesn't respond to what you think you should feel or what you're trying to manifest. It responds to what you're actually embodying, the authentic frequency you're broadcasting. This is why forced positivity rarely creates lasting change. The canvas doesn't respond to the mask. It responds to what's real in you. This doesn't mean you need to feel euphoric to create positive change. It means you need to find authentic emotional states that align with what you wish to create. Perhaps peace instead of anxiety, curiosity instead of judgment, or trust instead of control. Think of your emotions as different colored paints on your palette. Each creates a different effect on the canvas. The bright reds of passion, the cool blues of peace, the warm yellows of joy, the deep purples of wonder. You're not limited to one color. You have the entire spectrum available to you. The question is, which colors are you choosing, consciously or unconsciously, to paint your reality with? And are these the colors that will create the masterpiece you desire? This metaphor isn't just poetic. The electromagnetic field generated by your heart, which changes dramatically based on your emotional state, extends several feet beyond your physical body. This field interacts with the quantum field, informing which potential realities collapse into your experience. Your emotions literally paint the field around you, attracting and collapsing matching frequencies. This is why two people can walk through the same external circumstances yet have entirely different experiences. They're painting different realities with different emotional brushes. Those who master this one law don't wait for the picture to change. They change the stroke they project onto it. They recognize that the world isn't happening to them. It's responding to them. They take responsibility not just for their actions but for the quality of consciousness they bring to each moment. They understand that this isn't about controlling the world. It's about mastering themselves, specifically, mastering the observer effect that collapses potential into their experience. This mastery isn't about perfection. It's about presence and choice. It's about becoming conscious of how you're observing reality and making deliberate shifts in that observation. It's about recognizing when you've slipped into old patterns and gently returning to a more aligned state. It's about consistency rather than intensity, the steady embodiment of a new frequency rather than occasional peaks of forced positivity. The masters of this principle understand that transformation doesn't happen through force or effort. It happens through alignment and allowance. They don't push against what is. They shift their relationship to it. They don't demand that reality conform to their wishes. They embody the frequency where their wishes are already fulfilled. This subtle but profound difference is what separates those who struggle to manifest from those who seem to effortlessly attract aligned experiences. Consider how this principle might transform your approach to a current challenge. Instead of focusing on solving the problem from your current state, what if you first shifted your state of being? What if you asked, who would I be if this problem were already solved? How would I feel? What quality of consciousness would I embody? And then what if you stepped into that state first before any external change had occurred? This isn't denying the challenge. It's approaching it from a frequency that allows solutions to become visible that were previously hidden by your contracted state. Take a moment now to feel this understanding in your body. Feel how it might transform your relationship with challenges you're currently facing. Feel the possibility that what appears fixed and unmovable might actually be responsive to a shift in how you're observing it. Not through denial or magical thinking, but through a fundamental recalibration of the observer within you. Take a deep breath and allow this perspective to settle into your awareness. not as a concept to believe, but as a possibility to explore through your lived experience. This isn't about getting reality to comply with your wishes. It's about recognizing that your wishes, when embodied as a coherent frequency, rather than just a mental concept, literally tune you to a different broadcast of reality, the version of reality where what you desire already exists. You're not creating it through force. You're allowing it through resonance. This distinction changes everything about how you approach manifestation. Tomorrow morning, as you wake up, try something different. Before your habitual patterns of observation take hold, pause. Take 3 conscious breaths. Ask yourself, who am I choosing to be as an observer today? What quality of consciousness am I bringing to this moment? Then move through your day with the awareness that you're not just witnessing reality, you're participating in its creation through the nature of your observation. Notice how different your day unfolds when you consciously embody different states of being. As you move through your day, practice catching yourself when you slip into old observational patterns. Notice when you're observing from fear, lack, or limitation. Don't judge yourself for this. It's completely natural. Simply recognize it as an opportunity to shift. Take a breath, feel your body, then consciously choose to observe from a different state, perhaps curiosity, trust, or appreciation. Do this not to get something, but as an exploration of how different states of being collapse different experiences. The practice is simple, but its implications are profound. You don't need complex techniques or elaborate rituals. You need the consistent choice to observe from a different state of being, to bring a different quality of consciousness to your interaction with the quantum field. Small shifts in how you observe create ripples that transform what there is to be observed. Your reality begins to change not when circumstances magically rearrange themselves, but when you consistently observe from a recalibrated position that allows new possibilities to collapse into your experience. Remember, this isn't about perfection. It's about practice. You will wobble. You will forget. You will find yourself collapsing old patterns through habitual observation. When this happens, simply notice it without judgment and gently shift back to an aligned state. Each time you do this, you strengthen your capacity to consciously use the observer effect. You become increasingly skilled at deliberately collapsing the reality you wish to experience, rather than unconsciously recreating patterns from the past. I invite you to join our community of conscious observers by subscribing to this channel. In the comments below, share one insight from this video that resonated most deeply with you, or describe a specific way you'll practice recalibrating your observer in daily life. Your comment isn't just engagement, it's a declaration to the quantum field, a conscious positioning of your observation. Thank you for your presence, your openness, and your willingness to explore this profound principle. Until next time, remember, you are not merely experiencing the world. You are actively participating in determining which world you experience through the quality of your observation. The forgotten secret of the observer effect is that you've always been creating your reality. Now you can do it consciously.